It is Sunday, and how has everyone's Whinny City been?
I just got back from Brony Church.
You got Brony Church?
Silver Quill was the pastor.
Yeah? Did he convert you?
Yes.
That's good.
I mean, I was already converted, but...
I didn't know. Yeah, this is always kind of that moment where you go, it's already Sunday. Wow.
Yeah.
You know? So, thank you for being here. To me, I keep thinking to myself like, oh, it's another early panel and it's at noon.
Yeah.
But this is my West Coast clock talking, where I'm like, man, it's so early. It's like, no, it's not. Yeah, did anyone have fun at any of the late night panels? I know. We see some of you that were out there.
How was that?
Anthology?
Yeah.
Go figure. The anthology one was good. All right.
Was a crowd pleaser?
Always.
Yeah, it's fun.
Always. The anthology videos were actually some of the videos that inspired me to make content for My Little Pony.
You were going to mainly just do like PMV stuff.
I started out that
way.
Yeah. I was like, this is the direction I'm going to go. And then, well, things have adjusted since then.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, welcome in. This is How to YouTube. And...
I also put in parentheses, or Twitch.
Or Twitch.
Yeah.
Effectively, all three of us up here work with both platforms, with YouTube and Twitch. And out of curiosity, always like to ask, do we have anybody that has their own YouTube channels? I know some of you for sure do. So we have some YouTube channels here. Technically, but you don't technically use it. Okay. All right. What about you, Chaco? Do you have a YouTube channel?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have that defunct Zootopia minute I have to continue.
Defunct.
I'm trying to start up a new one.
Zootopia 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we could do some introductions.
Yeah.
We'll start with you.
I'm Paleo Steno. I talk about animated movies mostly on my channel, and then I also stream on Twitch, mainly like Nintendo stuff. But this month I'm doing Jurassic June and playing like Jurassic Park games. So.
I'm ACRacebest. I am the fandom, most known for the Bronies React series. I've worked with a lot of different types of media, doing PMV style, also, of course, like reaction style videos. And a lot of vlogging. I do a lot of vlogging. I love it. It's kind of a passion of mine, a hobby. And that's also my approach with YouTube. For me personally, is more as a hobby than a career. And got a couple other channels, Low Budget TV, which is a motorsports channel, which just hit 40,000 subscribers.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice.
Yeah, we were like, I checked that. I was like, oh, we did it. And then also, as I'm wearing here, the newest channel of mine, which is the gaming channel I have with my wife, Sarah, called Ready Player Dumb.
It's a good title. Good name. I'm Saber Spark. I do animation reviews, talk about just animated stuff that's more obscure and kind of weird and on the fringe, but occasionally topical stuff as well. And yeah, just roll with it to see what I can find next. Like I'm currently working on a video for Drawn Together, which I'm already like, man, if YouTube hated me with Balto, then they're going to despise me for Drawn Together, which has been such an interesting topic to dive into. Like Drawn Together, you ever have a show called Penny and Stocking? Mm-hmm. Drawn Together inspired that show, like point blank. And that's been it's so interesting to see a show that's so like creative and yet so repulsive at the same time. It's conflicting emotions for it. Where it's like, this is brilliant, but also like really stupid.
Then they made a movie.
They made a movie. It got worse as the show went on. But, so what a creative idea for a show. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic.
Well, now I'm curious. I didn't know there was a movie. I knew there was a show.
The movie kind of just wrapped things up. And then it got like 3 seasons in the movie.
Okay.
Didn't the animation style change in the movie?
Yes,
like
it did. It did a bit of a downgrade.
Yeah.
But like like Jack's played, I talked to him about it, and the show like kind of flanderized itself, where it's like Toot being like the Betty Boop character. Because again, the concept of the show is really smart, like a reality TV show, but animated. Okay, that's great.
It's like total drama.
Yeah, but also like the different like characters.
Yeah,
and styles.
different styles. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Like there's some like good animation and really clever ideas, But then it's the writing where it's like, okay, this gets kind of
like Captain Hero's like really funny.
Oh, he's awful.
Yeah.
No, there was an episode where I was like making a list, and I'm like, wow, they did like everything in like 15 minutes. Like
all of those things are illegal.
in one episode. Like I mean, like the most abhorrent stuff that would get you destroyed in a second. They do it. They speed run in like 10 minutes, and I'm like, damn, dude, this is awful. But then it has the occasional funny joke. Like there was a funny episode where it was like the episode where they're like crashing in a helicopter. I think it was the start of season 2. Yeah. And they do these things where it like cuts to like the backdrop where it's like a talking head where they're being interviewed, and it has the footage of them like the plane crashing, and it just cuts to a Foxy, and she's like, so there we were in a plane, and the back of like the drop like gave out, and she goes flying out of it. And I'm like, that's funny. I laughed pretty hard at that. I was like, that's pretty good. But like, I guess it's the entire thing of like to what degree do you allow like freedom of speech for art to exist? Mm-hmm. And I think it's like, I think something like Drawn Together is a good exercise where it's like, it's good for this to exist, for us to go, it's bad. Yeah. And to know the difference between something that's a bit more nuanced, like a South Park, which I know some folks are like, no, it's nuanced. And I'm like, compared to Drawn Together, yes it is. Yeah. But like,
on the same network.
Yeah, right. And things have changed, and of course, because we're humans, and culture shifts, and our taste and everything. But like for Drawn Together to exist, I'm like, I'm actually kind of happy it exists because the opinion seems to be unanimous. Where we're like, that was pretty rough. Yeah, had some merit, but it was pretty rough, and that was bad writing for the most part. Yeah, so that was interesting.
The way that this panel is going to run basically is based off of Q&A. If you have a question, by all means, any questions out there, we can start there. Any raise of hands? No. Okay, you guys just came to watch us ramble.
Good panel.
Yeah, all right, we got a question in the back.
All right, so on Twitch, you've been playing Zelda games, I believe, Paleo, right?
Yes.
How do you get the Switch onto that?
The Switch? I use an Elgato capture card. It's just it's called an Elgato HD 60 Plus. I believe Race uses the same thing with recording the Ready Player Dome stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and it uses because I used to have one where it's like a delay, but the HD 60 Plus, it has it to where like, oh yeah, you see exactly the person, or what you stream is what the person like watching sees is what you see exactly. So rather than a delay.
So okay, so there's an HD 60. Yeah. And then an HD 60 Plus. Yeah. And the Plus is the more expensive one, but so for that one, have you noticed, because I think one of the selling points on it is that there's no audio delay either.
Right. That's the point.
Because because we have the HD 60. Yeah. So when we're playing games, I have to turn the audio way down on our TV, and I'm like, what are they saying? Sometimes I might even like lean forward and be like, huh? Like, what is this? So we're looking to upgrade to that.
Yeah, the 60 Plus.
So you recommend?
Yeah.
Okay. So HD 60
the 60 is the regular HD 60 is what I had before, and I realized while streaming is like, oh, there's a delay. Like I'll say something, and it's like it hasn't shown up on screen yet. No. So
do you have an Elgato?
I do. I haven't used it yet though.
Oh, really? So you got some plans to use it?
I have.
Or did you get it a long time ago?
I never followed through with. By the way, for folks in the hotel rooms, is it kind of toasty with the air conditioner not going down as far as you'd hope? My room's a bit like that. I realized it's because all the air conditioners coming into this room. Yeah. This is the coldest room.
It is the coldest room in the convention.
Yeah. I was just kind of like, man, it's all being
so routed into here.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
Here in special events, it's pretty cold.
Yeah. I was, I guess relative to other folks, I'm like, why is it not 60 degrees in my room? This is outrageous.
There's no icicles on the windows.
Right? Yeah. The final draft would always turn the air conditioner down to like as low as it possibly could. Yeah. I love it. There's one year where I roomed in with Draft and Eileen Monty, and she likes the room like boiling hot.
Oh my god.
So it was like them waking up at night fighting over the thermostat. That was pretty funny. I love that. It was like a crossover episode. Sorry, I digress.
Who here's been in the fandom for less than 5 years, out of curiosity? Oh wow, okay. So that was actually a lot.
There's some folks who are new.
Who's been here for 10 plus years?
But I say Argo.
I love it. All right, very
Yeah.
cool. So kind of a mixture of new and old. Again, for anyone that's newer, as always, welcome. I know 5 years isn't exactly newer, but relative. But it's always cool to see a lot of familiar faces that have just been around and doing this as long as we have.
It's like a family reunion. It really is. It's like, hey, it's my cousin.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? It's good
Yeah.
to see you. It's something I've never experienced in any other social gathering of my life, except for family reunions. Except that I don't really go to anymore.
Right.
This is my family reunion. It's nice. It's
Yeah.
neat. I like it a lot.
But yeah, do we have any other questions? It could be about YouTube. It could be about Twitch.
Anything.
See, you like that Hot Ones show, right?
Yes.
You like cats on the internet. So what if you had cats and hot sauce? What great
Cats and hot
Or
sauce.
we eat cats.
We eat cats. Cat wings.
The cats are moving.
Right.
That one would upset people.
Feline fine. Right.
It's like, now, okay, well, stop.
All right.
We've gone too far.
Gordon Ramsay, eat the cat. Wow, delicious.
Who would have thought?
Good at eating.
See, I like that, though. That's an off-the-wall question. And by the way, I'll also add this, of course. We say YouTube, we say Twitch. If you have any questions about
TikTok.
whatever, feel free. Like, it could be whatever. So, just to open that door. Yes.
So, what's the best way to get followers on Twitch?
Best way to get followers on Twitch.
Starting out streaming.
Okay, just getting started.
Did we answer your question though? Actually,
The Elgato.
I just wanted to
Oh, your question.
Oh.
Sorry, I thought you were. They're in the same trajectory.
okay, good. I'm stealing that one.
He leaves. He's like, I didn't get a good answer.
All right, Twitch followers.
Sounds like something that Saber would do while reacting to cats.
Exactly. The
So,
butthole cut.
so our question here is about gaining followers on Twitch.
Like, how do they, there's a good way to get to
I have a tough love answer for this. Be good. As awful as that sounds, because for some folks, because Twitch is very unfair.
It's very hard.
It is hard to break into it, and there are folks who do it relentlessly, and it's still like tough to gain a following. But that's where the next and most important thing comes in: consistency. Like consistency on Twitch or streaming or just uploading in general is like your lifeblood. You have to be very determined and consistent. It's a content quantity war that the algorithm is constantly paying attention to you, being like, how badly do you want this? And then also, I think it's important to find like your niche. A lot of folks are like, how do I do that? And I'm like, what's the angle here? Do you want just followers, or do you want followers for something you're actually interested in? Because there are people where it's like, I'll use Warhammer for an example. Like for Warhammer 40K, you won't see them have Mr. Beast numbers by any means. You won't see them be like the big viral stars. However, that fandom is very passionate. I feel like it's like, I'd take a Warhammer fan over 20 TikTok fans any day, because that Warhammer fan's worth their weight in gold. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of layers to it, but consistency, and then also like really, I feel like it's also important just to be yourself. Find out what makes you you. Why do you like you? What do you like? And that's where I think the be good thing happens, where it's like, don't try to be somebody else. You can channel success, but don't ever like put on a mask, because eventually you'll hate yourself for it. You'll get upset because you're like, they don't like me for me. And it's like, well, you didn't start as you. So I'm all over the place. Just pay for followers. Just pay for followers.
Yeah, a lot of the times
Don't pay for followers.
with Twitch, it's better to have a following elsewhere first, usually. But also, there's some advice I saw about like certain games that you play on Twitch that have like a lot of people who follow that topic. Like there's like people who follow games on Twitch. They're like, oh, I want to see who's streaming this game. And sometimes there's certain games that have a lot of followers, but not a lot of people streaming that game. And one example of that is like Stardew Valley. Like you'll see like not many people are like streaming it, but it has over 1 million followers on that game. So like you have to like be into the game though. Like make sure you find like a game that you like.
The microphone's getting
I noticed that too.
Paleo, you're too strong.
Twitch is such an unfair platform, though.
Yeah.
Like, it is very much so. Like, I was doing that illustration with the water, with the like 1%er.
Everything has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
So
YouTube will censor you, and
But I think YouTube's a lot more. I feel like it's easier to break into YouTube than Twitch, because Twitch it's like.
Yeah,
man.
especially with shorts now.
Oh yeah, Twitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, for streaming though, apparently YouTube streaming, they're really trying to like also. I wonder if YouTube's doing too much at once though. Shorts, Patreon, the merch shops, streaming, video games.
I think people are used to it though, because of like it's been like rolling out very slowly over the past like more than a decade.
It put in like a 10 years of losing money just to outlast everybody else for the most part. And now it's like, who else can? Folks are like, try Dailymotion or Vimeo. I'm like, no one goes there.
Nobody goes there.
Folks are like, just go there. And I'm like, no one goes there. So what's the point?
Right.
You know, like YouTube was very clever. Google, the puppet master, being like, we can afford to outlast everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And now that they're the last one standing, and YouTube is basically like raising Zoomers.
And we're to Rumble.
Well, let me tell you, the fact that you have to ask about that question should be your answer. I mean, I've heard of it, and I know of its potential appeal, but tit for tat to YouTube, not even a goddamn chance. It's a completely different game.
Since you're also asking about getting started with getting a following on Twitch, you always want to bring your best foot forward when you're streaming. Like when you're recording stuff and then posting later, you always have post edit. If you're streaming live, you want to do your best to like. I would absolutely recommend doing some trial runs, multiple trial runs before you ever actually go live with things, to make sure that your equipment's working, that your computer's capable,
Quality
that you got
check.
your audio stuff in check, because you know, I know sometimes when we're streaming, if Sarah is the one pressing the buttons, we're good. My wife Sarah, it's like we're set. Sometimes she's like, just start the stream, and I'll be like, oh god,
Go live.
click, and then everyone's like, what's the audio's like, wah, and I'm like, whoops, wrong button. But you wanna avoid that as best as you can, because if somebody is hopping onto your Twitch for the first time, you might only have them for a couple of seconds, and where they decide whether or not they're going to be staying or leaving.
Yeah.
And you want to always be giving them the best impression, you know, and if you're having those kind of issues on a consistent basis, that could be a deterrent to anybody.
I always do like a test recording before I go live.
Yeah, which is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so like it's stuff like that, like wanting to make sure that you have everything in order for a stream, so when people show up, they're like, okay, well, the quality's already there, you know. Now let's see the content. Now let's enjoy what there is to be offered here. So that's kind of the basics that like you want to start with. It's going to be a lot harder to get a following if you're constantly having to restart streams, or you know, you're having technical issues that people are going to, you know, how long are they going to be willing to stick around for? One other note, you talked about like games.
Yeah.
One thing I often stream is a racing game / simulator known as iRacing. It's one of the things that we most commonly stream on our Twitch. I keep encouraging Sarah to I'm like, because she loves playing games just as much as I do, and I'm like, come on, stream when you're playing, and she's like, I just want to relax.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that 100%.
Yeah. So she occasionally does stream, but when I do iRacing, what will happen is that
But you're a performer. You love this stuff.
I love it, and then I have my friend Tommy on there, who
He's great.
Again, another performer. But iRacing, for those that don't know, it's a racing simulator. You can design your cars and whatnot, like the paint schemes that you have. And so what people will do, including us, is we'll put our stream link on our car. So somebody that's driving around you will be like, oh, I guess this guy's streaming. And you know, if you get a wreck with that person might be encouraged to be like, well, what are they saying about me?
Also, yeah, if you do like consistently like stream like a certain game, sometimes you'll be rated by like other people who played that game. Like I saw you got rated by another like iRacing like person before, and I've gotten rated like back in like 2018 when I was playing like the Kingdom Hearts like all the way through for the first time. When I was at the very end, like a Kingdom Hearts speedrunner rated me. That was fun.
Yeah. I guess to finish up this topic, You guys are better suited to explain this than me because I feel like I'm still learning a lot about Twitch. But can you explain raids? Like, what's happening when you get a raid?
Yeah, so when you get a raid, it's basically another streamer who is ending their stream. They're like, okay, I'm going to head off, but I'm going to bring my audience to another streamer that's either like one of their friends or streaming like similar content or something. And when you get that raid, it's like, oh yeah, the audience comes in. And no, usually like not all of the audience will like stay, but if you grab their attention, they might. So
yeah, that could be a very lucky when it happens to you. It's like take advantage of it. If all of a sudden you're looking down and you go, whoa, I had 4 viewers, now I have 104. Always try and strike while the iron's hot. So
yeah.
Thank you for your question. Yes.
So, is there anything in particular, like, do you need to have like a set like schedule when it comes to uploading, or is it more like varying depending on?
Consistency does help a lot. Like either like just doing something like an upload every week or like streaming on certain days. The consistency does help.
Consistency is, in my opinion, necessary. Like, you have to. It's content. Like, you want to succeed on YouTube, upload. That's simple as that. Like, they pay attention to you. If you're not uploading, then they're like, okay, we don't care. So consistency for your sake, and also the algorithm saying, yeah, we want you to upload because we get paid. And you grow your channel, and the more consistent. And it depends on the caliber of content. But like, regardless, from the shorter end to the longer form, which longer form is harder to manage, but you can get there. But like, consistency. Because if you're not uploading, then you're not going to make it.
Yeah, there's certain like channels I watch that are like video essays of like video game stuff. Like Liam Triforce is a really good one, and he doesn't upload that often, but his stuff is like, if you're not consistent, make sure it's like very high quality because he does like really good scripts.
You have to pull that off though. You have to get lucky, or you had
because it took a while for him to get lucky, but he has a lot of those types of videos, so he did upload a lot.
We're talking about Scott the Woz and how he uploaded very frequently, but he became so successful that he can go, okay, I'm gonna be fine now. I can upload when I want.
Yeah, he hadn't uploaded since like January, and then he just uploaded his Wii U video.
And he earned it.
Yeah.
The algorithm was like, okay, or not even the algorithm, but he was able to secure an audience that's large enough where he can do what he wants without the algorithm dictating it all the time.
Yeah. I saw a hand back there.
It doesn't matter how long it's going to be, because like if I try to make something long, it makes it boring. So as long as it's like short, you can look at it because it's shorter, like 10 minutes.
Depends on the context of the video.
Yeah.
Because if you're like talking about World War I,
A longer discussion, and like, should I do like part 1 or part 2?
I think comprehensive video essays are on the rise right now. We're seeing a video essay renaissance right now. And it's a bit of an arms race because everybody's trying to outdo one another.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard and it's expensive, and it usually requires multiple hats to pull off. But because for the Balta video I was working on, my editor Henry is like, why don't we just do this in parts? And I'm like, well, I don't want to lose people in like from the first to the second to the third. It used to be a bit more common back in the day to do part 1, part 2, part 3. But now like people put video essays on the background as TV in a way.
Yeah.
There's something called relative audience retention that I recently discovered, which is apparently YouTube saying, we like these kinds of videos because folks will just do art, draw and have the videos on in the background. And the longer the video, the algorithm starts to kind of form around it saying, you like this long video, which is a lot of ads in said videos. We're going to keep pushing those videos. So, but to answer your question, it depends on the context you're doing. If you're like doing a quick review for the Mario movie, then could it be an hour long? If you got an hour's worth of content to say, sure. It's going to be a harder video to make, but that's up to you. I think for new people, it's better to take it into shorter form content just to get your foot in the door.
15 or less.
15 seems to be the sweet spots, but there's a lot more competition for that bracket. While for the longer form content, YouTube measures out that field, that pool of people, and will then, like, let's say, wow, this person made an hour-long video essay that did really well. Who are the other folks who made an hour-long video essay? It's kind of in the same arena. You did? Cool. Let's send the audience that way. So you have a better chance of getting noticed doing that. But for the 15-minute ones, it's a ton more competition. It's hard to really thread that needle, though.
I've also experienced this with, for those that don't know, I do convention vlogs, and I've been through multiple different types of formats, playing around with what works best. When I got started, I always aimed, so when I got started over 10 years ago, there was at one point a limit of how long a video could be on YouTube.
It technically still exists. You just have to get approved, but that's like,
Because I think at one point there was like a 15-minute.
Yeah, there was like a limit.
And then, nowadays you can find videos over 24 hours, of which I haven't successfully been able to do myself. Oh well. But I was gonna say, when I used to upload the vlogs back in the day, it would be 10-minute chunks of the vlogs.
Yeah.
And I feel like that could have a benefit. And like you said, though, it also you risk losing people along the way. And nowadays, I break it up like per day, maybe with a slice in between panels, just for if anyone's watching through, like
I think it's a good format.
chronologically. I personally like it for myself as well. Like when I'm going back and watching, I'm like, this makes more sense. So yeah, but one thing that I used to get, because I had 20 parts of a vlog, for the amount of people that you have sticking around for that, you're getting technically, like if I'm gonna get, let's throw out a number. Okay, I got 5,000 views on this vlog that was an hour. Or I could have gotten 5,000, then 3,000, then a couple 2,000s, 1,000. It's like, I got more views out of all that. So you never know. You got to just play around with it.
There's also watch time, which is another metric nowadays.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you for your question. Let's get
some new folks here.
Yeah, we'll get some new. We'll go bang, bang, bang. So, yes.
So I guess just more like a personal question. I do a lot of art and animation stuff, and I've streamed sometimes, but it's mainly like on the side, just like university and all, a lot of other life priorities. But I know definitely for a lot of people, there's that moment where they're experimenting around with content creation. They get like warm feedback, and then it's like, okay, I can see how this can sort of become sort of full-time sort of like thing for me. Like, so I don't know, like what was sort of a piece of content that you produced that got kind of like a warm reception that really got in your mind, like, okay, maybe I can turn this into something bigger?
Word. That's a good question. It's neat.
For me, it's pretty easy. The first Bronies rack that I made, I had no anticipation that it was going to get as big as it did. I pulled a few people together from the fandom that were willing to work with me, and when I posted that up, I knew that I was probably going to get some hate from one side because it was still pretty volatile back then. And then I also figured, we'd probably also get some support from the fandom. And I feel like what happened was, like, when it initially went up, like, both sides really showed up. But that made the comment section explode, which made it really pick up in the algorithm. And it was just like, bam. It had a much more positive reception than I figured it would have. And just seeing, I mean, again, I look at where things are now. I'm just like, oh my God, like that first Bronies React really paid off. So that was the one for me.
I had two moments where it was my little college video. I took a class called The Study of Deviancy, and for that I did an hour-long video back in 2011, which is wow, I guess I was kind of early to that kind of content making on YouTube about bronies. And I made the video and I uploaded it as a full video to my YouTube channel in October or November of 2011, and that did well. I got 20,000 views within a week, and I'm like, whoa, it's nuts. I'm like, wow, people cared. And I kind of became a mixed bag of content from that point on, with reviews and then sketch comedy, silly nonsense. But then I kind of burned out with the bronies stuff. Making brony videos. Going to brony cons I still love, but I felt like I said everything I could about bronies for my channel. And then in 2015, I did a video called Why Cartoons Aren't Just for Kids or something like that. And I was working at Starbucks at the time. And I was like, I guess it's life. I went to college and I couldn't get a job really, and I got fired from 2 copier jobs, and what is life? Whatever. I'll work at Starbucks. And then I did the video just for the fun of it, and it got like 100,000 views within like a day or two. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. I guess I can make just animation-related topics on my channel, which from the Bernie stuff, I got around like 60,000 subscribers. And I'm like, that's cool. And then the animation stuff really picked up and took off. And like after doing a few more videos for around 2015 related to just broad animation topics, I remember like going for a walk with my dog one night. This is so cringe, but I remember like looking at the stars and I'm like, man, these guys have been here for a long time and they're gonna be here for a long time after I'm dead. You know, okay, I'm gonna quit my Starbucks job and I'm gonna do this YouTube stuff full time. You know, it's like I'm gonna get paid less than I would at Starbucks, but who cares? I'm just gonna go for it. And I never looked back.
It was written in the stars.
Yeah. I told the Starbucks, I'm like, I might be back. So I'm gonna go apply.
They're still waiting for you. We'll be back.
It's been late. But no, that was an interesting moment of like, okay, I think I got my chance to really run with this, professionally. And the thing is, even then, I can't stress the importance of the hybrid hobby / the on-ramp to becoming a professional online creator. Like it's so rare. I'm sure it's out there, but it's so rare to be like, today I'm going to be a professional content creator and quit my job at the office. It's like, no, a lot of folks are like, I'm bussing tables. I'm a server. I'm working at McDonald's. I'm working the grind here at some, trade job. But on the side, I'm also building my channel until the channel can make up the difference. And you're like, okay, that's enough momentum there for me to like disconnect my job and then focus on content creating. Teach their own, always teach their own. It's a very subjective field as far as stories go and to each person who's involved. But for the folks who are like, how can I succeed without working, while I'm working a job? It's like, you'd be surprised how many folks work a job while also building their channel, which is also a good exercise in, determination.
And just to put a point on how good it is to read the stars.
Simba.
How many subscribers do you have now?
I have like 1.8 million.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And then Paleo, did you have a video?
The first one that I recognized that like took off was around the same time Sabres did. It was like why My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is good and why you should give it a chance. Because back in the day, like long titles were like, and even a little bit today, but like back in the day, long titles were like good for the algorithm. But that one took off, and then I traded like a new channel and just started just doing a bunch of different reviews. But that's the one that like took off where I was like, oh, I like doing this, and then like I do stuff for like other creators too now. So.
All right. Well, thank you for your question and good luck. And now, anime guy Logan.
Hi. Well, my question is, how do you feel the market has been going with like how mobile game ads have been?
Oh,
they have the deepest pockets. What's that?
yeah.
Like the weird stuff with those, like specifically with like how weird the ads are with
So
games that like people can't win.
here's the thing. It's another arms race of outrage and morbid curiosity marketing. You remember like the Quiznos? You love the subs with the little chihuahua. I got a pepper bar. No, that was an interesting era in the 2000s where ads got really crazy, and we're seeing it even more so. It's like the nth degree online. Mobile games have, again, very deep pockets. There's a reason why when Raid Shadow Legends is like, hello, we'd like to work with you and we'll offer you like $15,000 for a sponsor. And it's like, excuse me? Like, how deep are your pockets? And it's because they don't really
I found out why, by the way. I'll tell you after the panel.
They don't really spend much money to make their game. The majority, and also mobile games can be predatory, and they just wring their players out, the ones who are really addicted to it. Because for like, pay to win, there's no ceiling. A person can go nuts with that. So for the marketing, they go nuts with that too. Where Raid, to be fair, they've got higher caliber ads, where it's like, wow, these actually look like well-made models for the most part. And it looks like Warcraft knockoffs, but okay, it's better than Flying Gorilla. Actually, Flying Gorilla's pretty cool. No, it's like, for all the folks online, there's such a rapid-fire amount of content and swiping and moving, so you've got to scream and be crazy for a few seconds, show some boobies with a furry girl who's blowing up into a million pieces, just to make someone go, I see that, and click on it. So you got like a very small window to make your points. and everybody else is trying to do the same thing. So it's like an arms race of who can be the craziest. You know who wins from this? YouTube.
Yeah, right.
They're like, get in here. We'll sponsor, or we'll feature your ads.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
buddy. And then you had the question.
All right. OBS or Streamlabs? Which is better, or is it good to be hybrid?
Isn't OB supposed to be more technically proficient while Streamlabs is?
Yeah,
like-
Streamlabs is like easier to like get used to,
Yeah.
but OBS has a lot of things you can customize with and put a lot of plugins into it. But Streamlabs I would like start with. Like if you're
I
not
use
used to it.
Streamlabs because
Yeah.
it's a lot more streamlined for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm dumb. But OBS I've been told is like a lot more. There's a lot more like upward mobility for what you can do with it.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain here. It's OBS and OBS Streamlabs, or is it just Is Streamlabs different from
There's
OBS?
actually a thing you can add with Streamlabs.
Yeah,
Streamlabs with Streamlabs too.
you'd think I would know this after years of doing a gaming channel.
Streamlabs is they can have
Ask Sarah.
Ask Sarah. I know.
Streamlabs
Speak-
is OBS. It's just like a skin over it.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I thought because I know Sarah's talked to me about this
Okay,
about us potentially going to OBS because she's like, well, there's more that we can do with it.
Isn't OBS like there? It's open. Well, never mind. Don't talk to me. I'm stupid. Don't look at me. All right, I'm stupid.
Yes. Yeah. It's so yeah. No. It like they said, Streamlabs is a good starting point.
Yeah.
It's where you get comfortable with the program, and then I feel like OBS is where you could get more like I want to really personalize this to what I'm doing.
OBS is big and open, and Streamlabs is focused on streaming.
Right.
It gives you the features and the functionality to improve that.
Yeah.
There's
So-
options though.
So yeah, but yeah, there are options, and the nice thing is they're very affordable. Let's go back to the crowd here. Questions. So I see a hand here, I see a hand there, and a hand there. So we'll just kind of go in order here.
Boom, boom, boom.
So, when your content is flexible enough, how do you make the determination of utilizing YouTube versus a standard podcast format?
Depends on the content.
I mean, if it's like flexible, you can go either way. Like, I know like podcasts tend to be traditionally audio. I mean, I know there are video options, but like, if your content could incorporate video or be a standalone as audio, how would you make that determination of which one to go with?
I'd have to ask myself, like again, like contextually speaking, like how important is it to have video in what I'm doing? Because like I know podcasts can be a very lucrative bracket if you can really get to the top part of it. But there's some podcasts where they like shove like 6 sponsors in there, and I'm like, damn, that's insane. Like, because for most of these sponsors, it's like $5,000 payment, you know, for these spots. So they're and it's harder in podcasts to skip over ads too.
Yeah.
So it's like, then they know it. And then the people who upload it, that's just the game. They're just doing the hustle. But I guess it depends. I feel like a podcast won't reach as large of an audience as a video. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't know.
Have you seen like the fake podcasts like on TikTok? Like people will act like they're on a podcast with like the Shure mics and everything, but just record clips like they're on a podcast.
And with the big old typography. With
Yeah,
the yeah. I mean, like, that's the hustle. People are trying to...
But it's not an actual podcast. It's just like clips.
This is why you do the 8 to 5 hustle, the grind, be an alpha, and all that. And it's like, okay.
There's also two.
I think I'm failing this question, by the way.
Well, I was gonna say there's two mentalities too that come at it. Where if you have a podcast style form of content, the one thing you're going to fight against is somebody, like let's say the topic could be interesting, but the person might be like, but I'm unfamiliar with the podcast perhaps, and you know, do I want to sit through a podcast for this? Where podcasts, I feel like they tend to be less hyper-focused than a video. It's a little bit more open-ended. Oh, well, here's my opinion. Oh, here's what I think about that.
Well, and also, like, having visual cues can help. Mm-hmm. Like, are y'all familiar with Windigoon? Like, Windigoon, I think you can take his audio and probably massage that over into a podcast form if you wanted to. But also, like, he has got visual cues in his videos. That's part of his brand. So, and for me, I'm like visual, you know, being able to see my videos is important to me. So there also are moments where I just treat a YouTube video like it's a glorified podcast, and I'll just, I use YouTube Premium, and I'll just, listen to it, I go for a walk or whatever. So I guess, I mean, not to be a bummer by trying to dodge it, but context, it depends so much on what the person wants to talk about. Because I listen to a history podcast called like Hardcore History, and it's like, could that have visuals provided in a YouTube form? Yeah, sure. But it's mostly just audio, and you just let it run for 6 hours, and you're good to go. But I think YouTube's introducing podcast also.
Yeah, they have it as like a separate tab now on your page.
Right. I'm like, wow, that's okay.
There you go.
Cool. It's a functionality.
Yeah, yes, and like I said, there were two sides to it.
Sorry, I cut you
No, it's okay. There was that one side where it's like someone might be apprehensive about the podcast. On the other side of it, like if it's a single form video, it might be easier to grab that first viewer. But at the same time, if the podcast has a reputation, that could be something that could reel in a new viewer. So it does fall a lot back onto context and where things are at. Is it a new podcast that's getting going, a new video channel, with whatever you're working with. Ultimately it's probably what seems, I would say, what seems more fun to you on how to approach the video. What seems more like, well, this makes more sense to me on how I want to put it together. Do what works best
and
for you.
Some like fans for podcasts, they're really like, I'm a big fan. I'm supporting it, whenever it comes out. So
Right.
yeah.
So thank you. And then we had your question.
So Saber, I really like your oral video, and I feel like a lot of people don't realize like it's actually really good. And then it got really dark, even as a kid when I should have watched it, but it was like this is good. So I had the same, like I was like they're making fun of Christianity, but like actually this is completely different. But you guys, as all of you, is there like a subject that's kind of too dark that you're like, I don't want to bring this to my channel? Or did you guys, were you scared of being personal, and then it took a lot to get past that? You put more like of your personal life into the channel? Like, was there a moment like that?
Good question.
I can't think of anything.
I mean, there's certainly topics that I will not touch.
Yeah.
And some of them I'll say probably seem obvious. But
I'm pretty private for the most part, and I share certain things just so I can help, like, not necessarily empower, but like with the VeggieTales video, with More Oral, I wear it on my sleeves that like I was raised Christian, and I'm no longer textbook Christian. And I know there's a lot of folks who went through the same, ebb and flow of life where you were raised in a Christian family only to find yourself. Now you're like, okay, I don't know where I feel personally. And teach their own, with where they stand. I have a friend who's very dedicated Christian, but he's like the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He's one of those live and let live kind of Christians. And I like that. I love that. Versus the ones where it's like, if you're not in church with me, you're going to hell. How dare you? And for Christian media, I'm like, yeah, I want to hold it accountable. Like, it sucks. It blows for the most part. Because they know that Christian families will just buy it for the most part because it's Christian. Like, I've been looking into Christian media to do like a mega Christian media video, while also wanting to do a video about conservative cartoons. Oh, lo and behold, there's some pretty massive overlap there. Because for conservative cartoons, with their pitch, they're like, it's conservative cartoons that are not PC, with the woke liberals, and they're Christian. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Right, and again, I'm not trying to knock it because I'm sure there's folks who are like, well, I come from that background. Again, I'm not trying to do that. I guess I'm looking more at the people who are making the content, marketing the content, and they see their vertical market with that demographic. And I want to hold them accountable because I'm like, your content, frankly, is kind of shit. So, like, it's the exception to find good Christian content. It's the exception to find good conservative cartoons for all four that exist. There's like one called the Tuttle Twins. Sorry, I'm not going way off beat here, but you all familiar with PragerU, whatever? Yeah. I think they do something called like Chinchilla Family or whatever. And you got like Rob.
Not the chinchillas.
Well, it actually looks visually pretty good, but like Rob Schneider is like the main voice actor. And I'm just like, oh.
He was fired from Norman of the North.
Right. Yeah. You got to screw up pretty hard to get fired from Norman of the North 7, but I guess that's my answer. Is I feel like there's a lot of other folks out there who reached out to me after the VeggieTales video saying I was raised Christian and now I'm kind of figuring it out. And I see that fragility. I see that kind of like, I feel like, because that's some emotional whiplash to go from something you were raised in and again, teach their own as far as how they were raised and their feelings and thoughts. I'm not going to say my, disposition's the de facto one, but it's good that there's conversation. So I'll share in that. But like for other stuff, I'm like, I'll stick to talking about fairy girls. So,
like one example I have happened in the Bronies React series, and it's a story that the guy involved, we laugh about this now.
Who?
Beavids. There was one time he was going to be part of it. A Brony Vids, indeed.
Don't let him forget.
And he had submitted his footage, and for the Bronies React series, it's typically people that are in front of a camera reacting to what's happening in whatever episode. And he messaged me and goes, "Hey, I don't know if you're going to be able to use my footage." And I'm like, "Why? Like, what is it?" And he's like, "I did something different." And it was for when Starlight Glimmer was introduced. And he had this whole bit, and it wasn't just like a single bit. Like, it was his entire thing. Our friend Rob Bob, I think they were roommates at the time or something, and so they filmed this. And Rob like busted down the door at the beginning of his footage, being like some like Marine, like no, he was like some like Russian spy, and he was like interrogating him. That was the whole thing. He was like beating him up in the video, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this footage? So like, like I said, there's lines that I'll draw where I'm like, I don't know if that's right for this. Don't get me wrong, it was hilarious. I'm just like, contextually, I don't know if this is gonna fit.
Why is there torture in my Bronies React?
I love how for when Rob Bob
Release the uncensored.
Right.
Right. There's like a Wikipedia for Bronies React, whatever, and they've got like all the different people listed who've been in Bronies React.
Yeah.
And it's like Rob Bob fought in Iraq for 2 tours. He's a war veteran.
Because
it's made up.
he was in camo, and so it was like, thank you for your service.
Yeah, like people were sincerely like, Rob Bob, thank you. Navy SEAL.
Yeah, but I also wanted to touch upon the question where you were talking about getting like showing your personal side. For me, I feel like it really started. Again, with the Bronies React, like I think that was one of the first videos that I was on camera for on YouTube for the ACRacebest channel. But it was when I was doing the vlogs as well, where when I was filming those, my idea was never like I'm going to create a character. Like I was like I'm just going to be myself. And I've had a lot of people over the years come up and be like, "Oh, you're just like you are in the videos. Like it doesn't turn off." And then they run away screaming. They're like, "Oh my God." But I actually kind of appreciate when I've heard that though, because like to me it's like a reminder to myself, like, yeah, like you've been presenting yourself. I've never felt the need to make a character or a caricature of myself. It's just been me. and
that's why you work, because you're true blue you.
True blue me.
Would you be able to explain why you just went running like bolting at Ponycon 2013 during that during the beginning of it?
Wait, what was I doing?
So I watched Little Shy's vlog of Ponycon 2013, and there's just this one at the very beginning where you're just bolting across just along the lines of registration.
I was riling people up probably. Yeah. I like doing that. I like being a hype man.
This is the most he's a quintessential extrovert case study, through and through. All of us introverts are shaking when we see a man like this walking through the room.
God bless anyone that gets stuck in an elevator with me. It's like, so let's talk. But thank you for your question. Did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay, and then we had your question.
Yeah, I don't know if this counts, but I just gotta ask, who drew your OCs?
Who drew our OCs?
Yeah.
Nathan Butler was the person who can't help me come up with my avatar as it currently is. And I remember reaching out to him in 2016, I believe. And 'cause I've had a few versions of my avatar. And I had one that was kind of looked a little bit more like me, where, nose. And, like a long sleeve shirt or whatever. And then I switched over to temporarily to this almost Tumblr-esque style with the little
Oh yeah, it was.
I have a cold, a little red nose. Anyway, it was a bit more detailed. And my channel was bleh. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll sunset this immediately. which again, like no shit to the artist, they did exactly what I requested. Then I went back to Nathan, where I'm like, let's try again. Let's make something that's even more cartoony and
Yeah,
stylized.
because you asked me about it, because like that's what my original ones were.
Yeah, and I was like, minimalistic's probably better here. Less is more. Went back to Nathan. I'm like, let's kind of take the original design, make it more simplified and cartoony, and then it's what it currently is. I actually almost updated it again recently, but the design, I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, that's
Stuck with it now.
What's that?
Just stuck with it now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep using the design, but I was going to update, I guess, it to be a bit more consistent.
Oh yeah.
Like I always have the big brown, dumb-haired, no nose, and orange shirt, and that's just a color. People are like, "You're like the male Velma," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, at least you know me for something besides fur."
It's because of the shirt color.
Right? Yeah, it is. Brown hair and the orange.
Yeah.
And for mine, it's Tamiku on. She's like Tomi_OUO on Twitter. She does mine currently.
And I mean, my OC was developed by my wife. I was like, Sarah,
You should marry
I need a pony. I should marry her. I should marry my wife. That'd be weird. But yeah, I was like, because we kind of talked about this on our podcast panel, where it's like, for me, it's like making decisions. Like if I'm at a restaurant, especially a new restaurant, I'm just like, I gotta look through everything. Like, do I want this? Do I want this? When it came to, I was like, I couldn't even know where to start with an OC, and I said, Sarah, you're an artist. Let's see what you got. And so that's effectively where my color palette showed up from. And yeah, thank you, Sarah. And thank you for your question. All right, we still have about
8 minutes or so.
Yeah, a couple. So let's see. By a raise of hands, who else has questions out there? We got you.
I thought it was no whacking at first.
You never know.
Yeah.
It's like
You look, no whacking is my editor, and you look like a no whacking doppelganger. If you're on Everfree, he'll be there. You all can high five, and then the universe would implode.
I saw him in 19, Ponycon 19.
Oh yeah.
When the guys did the 18 plus Quiplash.
Oh yeah.
That was
Dude, no whacking is like party incarnate. Like Pinkie Pie would get tired.
Yeah.
And I'm scared.
I just wanted to make a note, so we're gonna start with you, and then we'll get your question, just so you didn't have to stand there like this the whole time. So what do you got?
So, I've had my YouTube channel for over 10 years now, and I moved out of my parents' house finally, and got decent internet. So, and I'm uploading videos, and lately I've been streaming. The kind of videos I kind of put are mainly what I want. I'll put like indie pony videos, like indie games that are MLP inspired, and I'll just play through them. I know it's not what YouTube is, the algorithm wants to get more people into the videos, but I don't know what to change to bring people in to my videos.
So,
So what would you suggest? Like go big and then start on what I want? Or
Is it mostly a gaming channel that you have? Okay.
So gaming ponies?
Yeah.
Okay. So already you're a bit more of a niche market. And though I've been noticing, like, okay, I'm gonna try to explain this, and maybe y'all can like.
There's not a lot of like MLP like brony gaming channels. There's not a lot of
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, with this new generation that's now starting to like, it's like the generation that were kids during the brony days are now like in their 20s.
Yeah, it's hitting the nostalgia point now.
Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, Pinkie Pie, she crazy ass bitch. And they'll draw art or do videos, and it's kind of got this like shitposty energy to it. And I'm like, wow, that's really doing numbers. And it's almost
Like Shunks. Shunks does a lot of videos like that about like nostalgic brony stuff.
Right.
Because she grew up like during the time.
Izzy, not the pony, but Izzy.
Izzy's.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
She's I think she's from Australia, or she, they, them. But Izzy does pony stuff too. And I've noticed, like, wow, you like were a kid during the brony years, and now you're, like a young adult in your 20s, and you're killing it with like nostalgia brony talking stuff. But also at the same time, this new one coming in, this new generation, they grew up with brony stuff, but I don't think they don't call themselves bronies. They're just My Little Pony fans. And I find that interesting. So I'm like, the pony topic, the pony content's still there. I guess, and I do wonder if there's a bit of a Venn diagram maybe to it. I don't know. Because I don't do pony content, making it anymore. But I'm like, there's still pony like Twitter posts and videos that do really well. They just don't really lead as a brony. It's just more of a pony fan. And I find that interesting. I wonder if there's any contention too between they're like, oh, we're not bronies. We're just pony.
They see us and they're like, us specifically.
Us. There's like wanted signs.
Not us.
But so gaming. What kind of games?
Well, lately I've been playing like Dead Space. I'll play Call of Duty every once in a while.
Where does the pony stuff come in? How do you?
They're on my recorded videos that I actually edit.
Do you like? Is it gaming and ponies or gaming and ponies?
No,
I'm not sure if it's fused.
MLB games like there's one called Ashes of Equestria. It's a Fallout Equestria style game. But like I've played those, I'll play through whatever I want, but it just seems like I'm not getting traffic.
I wonder.
And I can understand that because that's not what people really want to watch, or my quality's not really.
It's the fact that you're asking questions is a really good start. I want you to know that. A lot of folks are. Everyone runs into it. Why is this not working? What can I do? Asking yourself, those questions. That's a great sign that you can at least, keep your ear to the ground and like vibe check it and be, what can I do to change? Are there any other channels that do what you do that have more of a following?
I've searched up other YouTube channels, but they're kind of in the same position.
Okay.
They don't have that much traffic.
Is it potentially that it's just a niche market that doesn't really have growth anymore? You just kind of have to.
I've been thinking about just start like doing what everybody else is doing, like Overwatch, Valorant.
You sound so defeated.
Yeah.
Overwatch.
Have you ever played Hearthstone 4?
No.
They have a mod on Hearthstone 4 called Equestria at War, and the lore in it is so detailed that actually it's one of the biggest, most well-known mods on the game. And it's based off of the world of Valorant.
I think ponies can still work in this day and age for content making. People love ponies, and the generation who grew up with it, who are now adults, love it too. I think you just have to be a bit more nuanced with how you present it. I think saying I'm a brony is going to be a bit like okay, that's a different demographic. And I'm not saying that's anything. I'm a brony, I like brony content. I still watch it, but I think if you want to incorporate ponies nowadays, you have to be a bit more clever in how you like thread that needle with your content.
And I try. I do like I do crazy ass thumbnails. The titles.
Are you promoting anywhere besides YouTube? Because maybe that's the next step.
No, I don't do social media.
Do social media.
You find your community. I think there's a community you can tap into here, but email me your channel.
Get a MySpace.
I need to get a live journal. I can help you out if you want to email me. I do much better if I can see the content, but.
I know how busy you are, so I don't want to.
Oh, I'm terribly busy. Goes down to.
About the ADHD, I don't want you.
Oh, dude!
Look at that! He's taking care of you now.
No, it's fine. I get a lot of folks that email me and I can try to help. One of my favorite things, like when I was at Ponycon last weekend, there were like 3 or 4 people who walked up being like, hey, your advice helped a lot. I've got like 10,000 subscribers now. And I'm like, it worked. Awesome. Yeah. I love hearing that. That means my advice actually, I should be charging them for it now. But no, I'm glad to hear that. So
take my crash course.
Yeah. Developers. No.
Yeah, my final notes on this are, if you want, which it sounds like you do, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to branch out. Work on maybe finding a way to promote your stuff outside of YouTube. Those will probably be my 3 things. But ultimately, have fun. Do what you want to do. Yeah.
And I'm always will preach the word of the trend chasing. What's hot in the streets right now. Okay, the algorithm will at least give a budding channel that. People talking about Spider-Verse like crazy right now. So hey, there you go. There's an example. Go for it. I'm trying to incorporate it.
You said I could get your email. That's going to be under your belt.
Yes, just therealsaberspark@gmail.com.
Who took the real saber spark?
Some phony.
All right. That's fine. We'll move to our last question here.
Actually, I gotta get back to my.
What was your question going to be?
Basically, so Saberspark, I know that you went through a lot of crap to get the Balto video. Watch the Balto video.
Oh, thank you. I'll pay you afterwards.
And like you were just saying, you do have to be willing to chase trends a little. Like, have you ever considered letting people sponsor a video?
Oh, like a viewer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that. It just feels a little bit too messy. Because I've had folks who are like, oh, here's my independent animated film. Can you please promote it? I'll pay you. And I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. I want to be able to like it myself. And if I do like it, I'll promote it. But I don't like being paid because I feel dirty when it comes to like artists pay me because then I feel more like it feels more soulless. I'd rather be like, if your merit catches me, then I'll talk about it.
Just saying, still waiting for the Stack Shock video.
Oh yeah, I'm still working on that.
All right. Come to the charity auction too.
Yeah,
Later.
do that. Thank you for your help with the convention.
Did we see one more hand or?
You know what? What the heck?
I thought
It's only 1:00. Just real quick, any more hands out there?
We'll do a final round.
1, 2. We'll do 1, 2. We'll start with you.
Oh yeah, well I was just gonna weigh in on what you're talking about, with kind of like the new generation, like people that are into like the kind of pony content and things like that. I'm 20, so it's like I'm good friends with Izzy and Shunks. And so
Awesome.
Oh, nice.
I'm working on a video for Shunks right now. Actually, it's gonna be really, really cool. It's coming out later this summer. But
Hell yeah.
the perspective I've gained from like both talking to them and some other people in like my circle that grew up on like the kind of pony content and are like finding ways to incorporate it into like their personal work now. Because I find that the difference is like it's really transformative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think part of the appeal was that when the show was like actively airing and things like that, part of the appeal was like you're making content based around a show that's still going. You're just actively appreciating the show itself. It's kind of like in and of itself going to kind of like make an impression. And but with the the show being over for a few years, I think what people really like is finding a way to like transform the content that already exists in like new and interesting ways. And so when I see the kind of videos that go into sort of like what makes ponies cool in a sort of like modern sense, or the stylistic like aesthetics of like the swirly sort of visual design and how people are incorporating that into their art now. Like, I don't know, I think media kind of grows up in the way that new generations are exploring it in different ways.
Yeah.
So finding ways to take that media and make it like transformative and take it out of the sphere of just the show itself and how it can apply to like larger aesthetics and things like that.
That's a nice perspective.
Yeah. And also, like I see so much pony art of the main six with different interpretations. I'm like, what great lumps of clay these characters are.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much to explore, so much chemistry and dynamics and just the way people interpret it. And I'm like, man, Lauren Faust and her team and like Paul Rudish, and I'm like, they killed it.
Yeah.
Like what a great show.
Yeah. So the last question of the panel.
You said yesterday that I could show you what videos I made.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I didn't.
I can't message you on Twitter.
You can't message me on Twitter?
Your DM's locked on.
Oh, you were gonna send a DM.
Both of you guys asked me to do that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. We were joking.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's.
Sorry about that. I mean, we don't have the HDMI laptop hookup, but can you
Can you just tag us in it?
tag us or
Like in a post?
email me
Twitter
as
post
well?
or something? Or just be like-
I'll email you.
Please. I
No,
wanna
or
see
do
it.
that. Do that. My
Sorry.
email's also on.
I'll just share it with Race.
You'll share it with me.
All right.
All right, cool. Yeah, well, thank you all for coming out to the Howdy YouTube panel, and thank you for coming to Whinny City. This was our last panel. We appreciate you all again for continuing to support these conventions,
Great
and we couldn't do it without all of you.
Hello to all the new faces, and hello again to all the old faces. We love seeing you all. It's always fun.
I
Yeah.
just want to say, this is my first convention. You're the reason why.
No kidding.
Your vlogs.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Did the cameras catch that? The vlog, yeah. No, that's awesome. I love hearing that, and again, folks, it means a lot for all of you to be here. So thank you so much, and we'll see you around the rest of the con, Whinny City Pony Con 2023.